Hey there, BookTube. Noah. I'm here to continue this bookshelf tour. So I wanted to bring you out. I'm here. Got some time alone. Figured I'd knock out one of these bookshelves that are in the living room. This is the popular fiction shelf. So as you can see up at the top, I got all Frank Herbert and Heinlein. So a couple that I grabbed for my favorite authors. Was right there. Moon is a Harsh Mistress, Job, Comedy of Justice, The Number of the Beast. Those are the Heinleins that are up here. I got Beyond This Horizon, Stranger in a Strange Land, and I have Time Enough for Love over on another shelf. I don't know why it has made it so it's way over to another shelf, but I'll get it up over here. The rest of the books on this shelf, top shelf, are Frank Herbert's. We have Dune, the first Dune, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, Chapter House Dune, Heretics. I have the first edition hardcover, also with God Emperor and Chapter House Dune. I was able to get the hardcover Putnam editions here, and that is Frank Herbert's proper Dune. I also have the 3 of the Dune Legends series here. That's the, sorry about that. That's the Machine Crusade, the Butlerian Jihad, and the Battle of Corin. Other than Dune, we have 4 complete novels by Frank Herbert here. This is a great collection. Whipping Star, The Dosada Experiment, Santaroga Barrier, and Soulcatcher. Complete and unabridged, 4 novels in one hardcover. A great deal. I also have the finish up that Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson did to the Dune series. Sandworms of Dune, Hunters of Dune. And then I have a Frank Herbert writing in conjunction with Bill Ransom, The Jesus Incident. I haven't read that. I just found it and picked it up, so I figured it goes on that shelf, but actually it is to be read. So with that shelf being done, we're going to move down one more shelf. And this is all popular fiction here, but this basically out here in the living room. I want to put stuff out that is conversation starters, things like that. So I have Philip K. Dick, always a good conversation starter. Something I just picked up this last year, The Exegesis of Philip K. Dick. This is Pamela Jackson and Jonathan Lethem. Put this together. This is from Philip K. Dick's exegesis. He was writing an exegesis for the last 7 or 8 years of his life, and it is amazingly interesting. He had a spiritual experience at the end of his life. Well, not at the end, about 7 or 8 years before. And he just started writing, breaking down all of his experience into information, and he said that he downloaded. He said that in a flash, upon seeing the Jesus fish symbol, you'll be familiar, that a pink light beamed down into his head from another star system, and he downloaded days, hours, and days worth of information in moments, and then came back and was still in the same place that he was, and he spent the last years of his life while he wrote Scanner Darkly and Ubik and his Velas trilogy, just trying to make sense of that experience and trying to get there. So the Exegesis of Philip K. Dick and The Pursuit of Velas. Those are 2 works that are trying to make his exegesis accessible. The Exegesis of Philip K. Dick, that's what you want to be. In Pursuit of Velas is really lacking, but it was a first attempt at making sense of just the huge body of work, which is letters and diary entries and all that kind of stuff. Short story collection, The Minority Report, and other classic stories. I got Ubik, Martian Time Slip, Transmigration of Timothy Archer, Divine Invasion, Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, and that'll do it for the Philip K. I have Radio Free Albermuth as well. Radio Free Albermuth is a posthumously published work. It actually is a story that is touched on as a movie in the work Valus. So it's an interesting read. Asimov, Extraterrestrial Civilizations. I have the Foundation trilogy here. I actually have a lot more sci-fi, and there's others that should be kind of out here, it seems, but we'll touch on them later. This is just what sits out on this shelf. Robert Silverberg Thorns. Now this is an amazing work that I came up on very much by chance. I rented. I loaned it out from the library and read it years and years ago, and it just blew my mind. Thorns by Robert Silverberg. It's the story of a man who was augmented by an alien race, and he's kind of half cyborg, half man, and a female who was made barren by taking a society taking all her eggs out and populating an entire universe with her genetic material. So she's actually the mother of none and the mother of all, or something like this in the book. They're called that. And they're both two very damaged creatures, two very damaged human beings. And they are put in the same place to live together by this megalomaniac, kind of reality show guy. And their life is piped as entertainment throughout the universe. And so you're following these two very damaged souls, personally following them. And in the backdrop, their story, everybody knows them. Everybody is following along and knows them and is taking part as in entertainment in their suffering. It's really, really prescient as far as where we've come to now. And so I highly recommend it if that kind of thing interests you. Orson Scott Card, Ender's Game, one of my favorites from back in the day. Ender's Shadow, that is Ender's Game from the perspective of Bean, another character in the Ender's Game books. It's great. Neil Gaiman, American Gods. Philip Pullman, the His Dark Materials collection here. I love that set. How it says, actually on the books, when you put them together the right way, it says His Dark Materials in some artwork right there. But this is a set that I got. And then finishing up that shelf is Chuck Palahniuk. Choke, Invisible Monsters, Survivor, one of my favorites and one of my favorite covers for Survivor. I love the flowery plane. It was cool. And then I have Fight Club, Beautiful You. This is I can't recommend it highly enough. What a fun read. So funny, hilarious, and the end is super satisfying. Damned, I didn't really like, but it's part of what should be a trilogy, he said. Snuff, it's a wild ride. Stranger Than Fiction, a collection of essays and non-fiction. And then on the end I have Adjustment Day. Y'all, anybody seeing my, favorite and worst reads of 2019 knows how I feel about Adjustment Day. So I will not go into that here. That book is getting gone pretty soon. I don't keep things that I don't like. You know what I mean? That is just, it's a recent thing. And since it's a first edition hardcover, I'm not just throwing it in my haul box that's in the back of my wife's van. So I'm keeping it here. But I tell you, if anybody wants Adjustment Day, if you think it's if you think you might like it, watch my review, watch what I've said about it, and if that doesn't turn you off, then just holler at me. I'll send it to you. Just pay for shipping. I'll send it to you. I have a Dark Tower Concordance. Stephen King's Dark Tower series is one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. But we have Eyes of the Dragon, the first Dark Tower Gunslinger, second Dark Tower Drawing of the Three, The Talisman, a book that Stephen King wrote with Peter Straub. Amazing. One of my favorite Kings. Carrie, Salem's Lot, The Shining. Those are all, old copies, man. I like having these old paperbacks that I can remember reading when I was a kid, Dark Tower Book 3, The Wastelands. This is a great edition. Dark Tower, he did these editions that have these full color illustrations, artwork done by these guys. So, and anything that you guys like, I'm willing to go over, and do reviews on, or just ramblings on. All good. Stephen King, Dark Tower 4, The Wizard in Glass, Dark Tower 5, Wolves of Kala, 6, Song of Susanna, and then Dark Tower 7, the Dark Tower. And it's an amazing series, guys. Just check it out, or holler at me, and I'll do a little going through. Up top here, I have a first edition that I found still wrapped up of The Dark Half. Very cool. You can't see King on the back, but very cool to have. I thought, just to have a first edition there. I'm sure there's first editions of that everywhere. But On Writing, this is the best writing book that I've ever read. Really, really good. Stephen King definitely lays it out there just right for you. Gives you some good points and gives you a good method. I find like Stephen King's method is very much like my method. Not that I'm anywhere near as proficient and good at getting the story out there as King is. He's had a lot more practice than I have, that's for sure. But it's really good. Doctor Sleep. This is going to be read pretty soon because I don't watch movies unless I've read the book. If they're adapted from a book, I go for the book first 90% of the time, unless I don't know about it. So Doctor Sleep. I've got here. Just got that for Christmas, and I actually got the new Stephen King The Institute as well for Christmas. My mother and I used to read King novels together back in the day, and so she got me those. Really appreciate it, Mom. Love you. And yeah, I'm gonna work through those Kings, and I'll tell you what I think. Pet Cemetery. This is an unabridged The Stand. You can see it's been through it. It's a great novel, The Stand. If I haven't read it, I have an old paperback collection of the Bachman books. The Bachman books are The Running Man, was adapted into a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Roadwork, The Long Walk, and Rage. And The Long Walk is an amazing little story. If you haven't come in contact with The Long Walk by Stephen King. And then over there on the side we have Insomnia. Insomnia is all right. I got it, just to kind of get some more that's in that Dark Tower mythos. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch on the light here, so that might should have done that before now, but okay. This is the bottom shelf out here. Actually, on the bottom shelves of my bookshelves out in the living room here, I have movies. So I have 2 rows of DVDs on the bottom shelves, and I don't I'm not going through my movies with you guys. There's a bunch of good stuff. There's a bunch of crap. I got 3 daughters, so I got a lot of everything. So Michael Crichton has made his way out here. Just for nostalgic purposes and conversation starters, like I said, a collection of Congo, Sphere, and Eaters of the Dead. It's a great old collection, hardcover. Sphere was one of my favorite books when I was a kid. I read a lot of Michael Crichton when I was a kid, middle school age. Sphere was one of my favorite right off the rip. Jurassic Park, old edition of Jurassic Park. Really cool. Jurassic Park the book is way better than Jurassic Park the movie, guys. And then I have Larry Niven and Jerry Portnell. He wrote Moat in God's Eye. This is one of my favorite sci-fi stories about making contact with the alien race that I've ever read. It's awesome. And then they did a sequel to it called The Gripping Hand. It's great. So I have that one as well. That Mote in God's Eye, it looks like a first edition, but it's not. It's a book club edition. But still, I want a hardcover. Here's my paperback copy. This is the one I read. So it's great. What a fun series, or a fun book, and turns out to be a couple. So some of my first books that I read when I was a kid, the Dark Elf trilogy, for R.A. Salvatore. I totally recommend it. What an awesome, really dark, twisted fantasy series. I have Terminal Man and Andromeda Strain by Michael Crichton there on the bottom. And then I have the first series that I ever read as a kid. I was turned on to by a buddy. This is the Dragonlance Chronicles. Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Dragons of Winter Night, Dragons of Spring Dawning. This is Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hateman. As you can see, these are the copies that I read as a kid. I love this series. It's dark, it's twisted, it's fun, it's funny, but most of all, it's real fantasy. It's really fun, and elves and wizards and magic and dragons and all that. So if you like some good fantasy, just some real Dungeons and Dragons type fantasy, there you go. They actually wrote the books, started it because they were a D&D playing group, and they thought, this would make a great story, and they started doing it. So I have the Dark Tower graphic novels here. I don't have the whole graphic novels. I have the first run with the artist Jay Lee. Jay Lee is one amazing artist, let me tell you. So I really got into this graphic novel set. You can see the artwork is just on point. So you can't go wrong if you like good art and good story. The Dark Tower graphic novels are great, but you do have to read the books first. You're not going to be able to jump into the graphic novels. They're not part of the. They're not just rehashing the Dark Tower series. They are actually telling more of the story. So you have to read the books before you can get into this set that I'm showing you here. Now, the Journey Begins. I think that the Journey Begins is the last one that I got, because it starts them doing in graphic novel form the actual Stephen King Dark Tower series. So I didn't continue with that, because I'll just read the novels, One of my favorite old graphic novels, Charles Burns' Black Hole. If you're not familiar, please familiarize yourself. If you like graphic novels, this is a classic, one of the best. Charles Burns put this together. It is a story of a crazy STD going through a small town in America, where it causes weird deformities in the kids, in the high school kids, and that contract it, and they actually become ostracized from their society and live in the woods together, all weird kind of deformities. But we'll get into it if you want a little going over that. So on to the next is Why the Last Man. I'm not going to pull them all out, but Why the Last Man. This is Brian K. Vaughan. Brian K. Vaughan is now doing the Saga graphic novels. Looks great. I haven't read any of the Saga, but he's done a bunch of one-offs that are really great. Why the Last Man is one of my favorite graphic novels of all time. The story, what if at just one point every male mammal in the world dies, except for very few men, and they're just spread, very, very, very sparsely populated. So in America, there's one guy, there's just one guy, and and you're following him, and it's just in a world of females, and all the men have died a very violent, crazy death. It's a wonderful story, and really, really twisted. Kingdom Come. It's a great story, but the reason I got it and what I love about this so much is the artwork. Alex Ross is an amazing master at art, and his artwork is is some of the best ever. So if you haven't checked out and don't know Alex Ross at all, Marvels is the place to go to start. That's where he really got his, where he just established a name for himself. Marvels, Marvels, is a series, and they take popular Marvel story arcs and he retells them in just a really simple way, just a little retelling, and the artwork is beautiful, crazy beautiful. You can't go wrong there. So, finishing up this shelf is 100 Bullets. 100 Bullets is another graphic novel series that I cannot say enough about. 100 Bullets is amazing. It is very much not a superhero comic. It is a criminal masterpiece, just like it says. It is an amazing story. Imagine a guy comes up to you one day and has a briefcase in it with that tells you everything, every single bit of evidence you need to know of why somebody has led to your life being the amazing, the debacle that it is right now, and gives you a gun with 100 bullets, unmarked bullets. And that's what he does with these characters at the beginning, and they have their choice, whether than to grab a hold of some kind of revenge for their past, or just act like they've never seen him. So it's amazing. 100 Bullets, please. Let me holler at me if you like it, or if you don't know, and we'll have a little discussion on that one. So here's my popular fiction bookshelf. Thank you guys. Anything that piques your interest, just holler at me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, bye, BookTube.